starting to rain as I embark upon my walk. We've had terrible weather this weekend. Not that you can hear anything because it's the wind's finally abated, but that's blowing up pretty bad too. Oh, it's not nice. I've been wearing my wind cheater all weekend. It's just very strange. It's like the middle of winter again, in the middle of June. Oh, there seems to be some clear skies moving across finally. A little less windy. Of course, as soon as I start recording, it kicks up again. I actually also ran out of battery power the other day, which doesn't normally happen because I generally charge the batteries every single day to make sure it's not going to be an issue. So I'm hoping that the battery's maybe not on the way out, but it could well be. It's been used a hell of a lot, it's recharged a hell of a lot, so it could well be on its last legs. Rather disturbing news about water infrastructure up here. A huge dam project was knocked on the head by the Palaszczuk government, who else, because they said that the cost of the irrigated water would be too much for any of the people to use. It would be prohibitively expensive. So overnight, apparently, the price of the dam shot up about 50%, which is a bit suspicious. And there's an article about that in Tropic now. So yeah, it's all a bit sus, and I think it's probably got something to do with the fact that the Palaszczuk government is so beholden to the Greens, they don't want to upset them by building any dams. And that could well be an issue too, because Labor Party is basically these days held hostage by the Greens. They don't care about other agendas. That seems to be the one that really matters as far as people having cheap, reliable power. For instance, that's not on the agenda. It would have been in the old days when Labor used to look after the working class, but those good old days are well past us, and it's hard to believe that the Hawke-Keating government was a Labor government. They're so far right of what the Labor Party is at the moment. Same thing's happening in America, of course, with the Democrats, and in the UK, actually. Corbyn's an incredibly far left candidate, and he's basically alienated himself from the electorate, which is the only thing that's probably saving the Conservatives. Although, I think Boris Johnson might do well. We'll see how it goes. I've got a feeling that the goodwill towards Scott Morrison is eroding pretty quickly. He's got a very ordinary group of ministers, from what I can gather, and I think it'll come back to bite him. But we'll see. Well, at least the battery's still holding up. That's good. And hopefully the weather, we're past the worst of it, because it really has been very depressing. It's been 2 full days of really ordinary weather, and one thing up here, because you do get pampered, you expect better than this. I mean, it's not Melbourne after all, so I am hoping for better weather than what we've had. Fingers crossed. At least I'm getting out today, have a Guinness, read the Australian, and I'll probably find some more tidbits to talk about, because it is a good read, and they bring up a lot of issues that do need to be spoken about, and there's not much quality journalism around these days. Most journalists now are activists. They don't give a damn about the truth, they just care about their agenda that they want to push. That seems to be their main motivation. So if you see someone trying to have a balanced approach, you appreciate them. And as I say, the Australian has people from both sides of the political spectrum writing for them. I think it's healthy, and that's why I listen to someone like Tim Poole online, because he's definitely left of me, but he does try to be a reliable source of news, and setting up his news agency called Subverse, I don't hold out much hope for, because he hasn't got very good presenters there. They look like student activists, and they got that. They're not just young, just not engaging people, not people that you want to listen to. Very lacking emotion. just you need a little bit of emotion. He does have that. He's their best front man. Yes, when I got all my got a few things I needed and probably didn't need actually. A lot of comfort food there. Quite 8 chocolate bars, I'll confess to that. Pizza. This is not looking good so far. Pasta. And yeah, actually it's not the end of it. What else did I get? It was pretty unhealthy. I think there is something else, but I can't. I'm probably just too embarrassed to admit it. But yeah, not great. But, yeah, it's very busy here on a Sunday. Extremely busy. And yeah, there were some good articles in the Oz, but nothing particularly astounding. Peter Van Onselen always having a go at Scott Morrison for not having enough guts to make hard decisions, and I tend to agree with that, but he's then trying to say on the other hand that Shorten put for a bold plan where he actually put forward some radical views that were dangerous. Well, they were bloody stupid actually, they're more dangerous. I mean, they're talking about governments trying to make small targets. Well, the other side of the coin is you don't want to make yourself into a total goose either. And some of the things Shorten did, he didn't do his homework, he was lazy, and that's inexcusable. You go into an election campaign, you can never assume you're going to win. That is stupidity in the extreme, but he had that hubris and he paid the price. So, but Peter Van Onselen's not a conservative. He's obviously probably more a soft Labor guy, I imagine. I don't really know much about him. I just know that but you know, it's like I said, it's okay. I don't mind someone providing an alternative view. And there's actually, he does have some things of value to say about Morrison. Morrison does have to be bold in his own way and make some tough decisions. He's got common sense, so he should be able to do it, but he's going to have to do some real hard yards when it comes to energy and things like that. Just can't avoid that. But yeah, the council were a bit worried about the CBD being dead, but there's plenty of people around this Sunday, so I don't know about that, and the weather's not great, so maybe they've overstating it a bit. I don't think it's that bad. I think the place is doing okay. It's more to do with the Australian economy, a bit worried about overall. I think Kansas probably buffered to some degree, but although I've got to say my experience shares are not doing well. They're about 50% of what they were, and I bought them at half the price they were at their peak, so they've dropped quite a bit. They will rebound, but it could take a year or so. So even though the stock market overall is doing well, there's a couple of stocks I've got just languishing. Luckily they're not big parcels, thank God. There's a whole lot of Italian girls. I think they were speaking Italian behind me. Get a lot of Europeans coming up here. You know, I get that a lot at Cairns Central Supermarket and Woolworths as well, I've got to say. So it's not unusual, and it just seems strange to me that they're leaving Europe, the best time of the year to be in Europe when it's getting reasonably warm. Although in the case of Seville it's getting too damn warm. I looked at the temperatures there and they were getting pretty oppressive, and that's why I don't want to be there this month. August would be a terrible time to be in Seville. Get high 30s, a little too hot. September should start to cool off quite a bit. It drops off pretty fast actually, looking at the temperatures. And I had a friend who was over there in, I don't know, it might have been just after the New Year or something, early, you know, January, February, whatever. I think the only top temperature was about 15 degrees. It's like Melbourne winter. It was just, seems really bizarre. That must be about the coldest you're going to get in a place like Seville. But I won't be copying that, thank God. The one beauty of being a traveller is you can pick and choose the best times of year to go. Especially if you don't have work commitments. If you're retired, you want to use that flexibility to your advantage. which I intend to do. Yeah, I actually am a bit nervous about the return trip on the fast train from Seville to Madrid, because I haven't given myself that much time to make the connection with the flight I've got. I'm leaving at about 20 to 10 from Seville, and the train's supposed to get in about the same time, approximately about 3 hours later, so about 20 past 12. I thought I was going to get there at about midday, but my flight's leaving at 3 o'clock, so if there's delays it's going to be very tight, so I'm a little nervous about that. But of course I went for the cheapest option. The return fare was a lot cheaper than the initial fare coming there. I've actually paid a little extra for the first leg going from Madrid to Seville, because I wanted to be able to change the time of the ticket if need be, because in case there was a delay with my flight going to Spain. But going the other way, I'm actually taking a big risk there, because the last thing I want to do is miss my flight from Heathrow back to Singapore. That'd be devastating. It's probably covered under travel insurance, I imagine, but I don't know, I'm not sure. The trouble is, it'll still be a pain, because it would delay my return and means I have to pay out up front for another ticket to flight from Heathrow to Singapore, so that would not be good. So it's a bit of trepidation with this trip, because it's broken up a bit, and once I get back to Singapore I'll be feeling a lot better, because all the hard stuff will be out of the way and there's plenty of wiggle room for times and what have you. I like to give myself 5 hours or so between flights, just as a buffer. Cutting it very fine with the rail trip from Seville. So if there's a problem, it could be stuffed. So hopefully not, but we'll see. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.